You have fire in your gut? Okay, we're here for a reason to win games. So if you didn't have that fire in your gut, you better light the fire pretty fast.
And welcome back to another episode of the Shaving Points podcast. My name is Quentin Crisco. Unfortunately, Jay could not join me for our short version of the episode where we go through all of our picks, but I'm here to bring it to you. I've got my picks, I've got his picks, so let's get into it. 15 minutes or less. That is the goal here, and that's what we're striving to do. So, first of all, starting with Buccaneers at Falcons. I'm staying away. Buccaneers, I feel like they could be anything in any given week. Falcons kind of feel similar. So I'm just, whichever version of these teams you're getting, I don't know from week to week. I'm staying away. Jay, however, is taking the Falcons, which, if we're being honest, I can be talked into a home team on Thursday Night Football about any given week. So I do think that is a fine bet. Home teams tend to do really well on Thursday Night Football, but personally, I'll probably find some parlays on the same game parlays or something and just stay away from the actual spread and total on this one. Next up, we got the Jets against the Vikings in London. Vikings are 2.5-point favorites somehow. You heard that. Like, Vikings, it's weird that the Vikings are favored in this game, right? It feels a little off, to me at least. Like, the Vikings have been rolling. They've been playing great football, but the Jets are a much more talented roster, so it feels off to me. A total of 40.5. Jay is taking the under here. I'm staying away from it. Man, Sam Darnold's going to win MVP or something. I don't know. Like, I've been harping about the Darnold oligarchs lying to us about Sam Darnold being good, but maybe I was wrong. He's playing great football right now. Got to give him his credit. But I do think you got to be a little weary about, if you're a team going into the offseason thinking about paying Sam Darnold, got to be a little cautious about that, because whoever gets him next, unless the Vikings re-up him, won't have Justin Jefferson, won't have Kevin O'Connell. I think that's a big difference. Next up here, we got the Panthers going to Chicago. Bears are 3.5-point favorites, total of 42.5. Jay is on the Bears. I'm on the Bears, and I'm taking the Bears team total over 23.5. This Panthers defense is decimated with injuries right now. They're missing their Derek Brown, one of the best defensive tackles in the league. They just lost both their starting linebackers. Like, they have another defensive tackle down. I'm not sure they can stop the run. So even though the Bears haven't been a really good rushing team this year, I still think that's a good play, because I think a lot of teams will be able to run the football against the state that the Carolina Panthers defense is in currently. Next up here, got the Ravens going to Cincinnati. Bengals are 2.5-point dogs, total of 50.5. I'm staying away from this. And I hate sounding like a broken record. I'm staying away from everything. I've got 7 bets for you guys this week, but I don't know. There's a lot of games that I just have a weird feeling about or don't love them. On this one, I don't like the 2.5 number. Part of me likes the over at 50.5, but another part of me says the state of the Bengals defense right now, the Ravens might be able to keep the ball on the ground all game. If you're able to run clock all game, that doesn't mesh with the over. So ultimately, I'm staying away. Jay is staying away as well. Next up, Bills at Texans. Texans are 1.5-point dogs in this one, total of 47.5. The Bills just got, beat up by the Ravens. And there were some fluky moments, and there's some drops and stuff like that where you say it might be a different game if they caught those. But ultimately here, I don't trust the Bills in this spot. I don't trust the Texans after the last few weeks either. What I do trust is 2-star quarterbacks going against each other. I see Josh Allen. I see CJ Stroud. I see two defenses who haven't been quite playing up to par lately. I don't think the Bills defense is all that talented. I think they're well coached, and they're solid across the board, but I think they are susceptible to things, especially when you're talking about a Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell-led offense with CJ Stroud throwing the football. I think Josh Allen will strap the offense on his back and say, we're scoring points. I'm taking the over 47.5. Next up, we got Colts at Jaguars. Jaguars are 2.5-point favorites, total of 46.5. Jaguars got to figure something out. Colts haven't won in Jacksonville since 2015. Give me the Jaguars -2.5. You might be getting Joe Flacco in this game for what we know right now. It's still early. Total is 46.5 on this. I'm not touching the total, but I am taking that Jags -2.5. They have to figure something out soon. And Jay's taking the Jags as well in this one. So we got a best bet there between us two. Next game, Dolphins at New England Patriots. Patriots are 1.5-point dogs, total of 35.5. My gut says take the Patriots money line here. It wasn't plus money. It was like -105 when I looked at it, so I didn't take it, and I'm still not taking it. Even if it bumps up a lot, I'm probably not going to take it. This game makes me nervous. Tyreek Hill is instant offense. Like, even though he got shut down last week, you can only do that so often. I'm not saying he's going to go off this week, but man, he can go off any given week, which makes it tough for me to bet against the Dolphins when they're going up against a team who I think is going to struggle to score points against a lot of other teams. And I don't trust the Patriots either. I think the Patriots have a much better defense, but I also look at the Dolphins game last week. I don't know if the defense was necessarily the issue when they gave up a bunch of points off really short field. So staying away from that one. Next up, Raiders at Broncos. Broncos 2.5-point favorites, total of 36.5. I think this Broncos defense is really good. And I think that has to matter here. I'm leaning towards the Broncos in this one, but I'm staying away. Jay is staying away from it as well. One of the factors here as to why I'm staying away, Devontae Adams wants out. If Devontae Adams still has all the goods, Devontae Adams might go off for a big, big game. You know, he's on the trade market. No one has gotten too aggressive to get him yet. He might make a statement of, here I am, come get me. And I don't necessarily expect that, but I think it's possible. So I don't see a point in betting this game here. Next up, Cardinals at 49ers. 49ers are 7.5-point favorites, total of 49.5. Our podcast is not sleeping on the Cardinals. Both Jay and I are taking the Cardinals in this one to cover plus 7.5 points. They've burned us the last few weeks, so we're hoping that doesn't burn us again. But maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. We're riding with the Cardinals either way. It's the podcast motto. Next up here, we got the Packers going to the Rams. Rams are 3-point dogs in this one, total of 47.5. Jay and I are both staying away from this. I lean towards the Packers. I actually really want to bet the Packers on this coming off a loss and with the Rams roster being where it is with the injuries right now. But I can't bring myself to do it because Sean McVay coming off a loss at home, the man's a witch. He does weird things. He does crazy things that no one thinks is possible. And he's got a quarterback who also does things that are crazy and no one thinks is possible. So I have a hard time betting against that here, especially with the Packers. Jordan Love, is his knee completely healthy? Is it not? He's looked shaky when he's been in there this year. Despite the 400 yards and 4 touchdowns or whatever it was, he also had 3 or 4 picks. Like, I'm staying away. I think the Packers are a much more talented team than the Rams, but Sean McVay going up against his protege worries me there. Next up, we got the Giants going to Seattle. Jay is taking the over 43.5 with this one. He loves the Malik Neighbors aspect of this after the Seahawks just got torn up by the Lions. Also, while the Seahawks scored a bunch of points against the Lions. I'm staying away. I look at this one and I'm like, I should like the Seahawks. I should like Seahawks -6.5. That feels good. But then I can't quite, there's something in my stomach just stopping me. Like, don't do it. Don't do it. And as I'm sitting here stewing on it, I'm going, you know what? I think the Seahawks O-line is that pit in the bottom of my stomach right now when I'm thinking about this, because Giants have a pretty monstrous D-line. Seahawks O-line, especially the interior, is pretty rough. Dexter Lawrence is really freaking good. He's incredibly good. So to me, I'm thinking the Seahawks' biggest weakness is up against the Giants' biggest strength. That scares me enough to stay away. I still lean towards the Seahawks here. And last one, or second to last one, we got Cowboys going to Pittsburgh. Steelers are 1.5-point favorites, total of 42.5. I lamented over this one. I mean, I was sitting here going, maybe I like the Cowboys. No, I like the Steelers. Maybe I like the over. No, maybe I like the under. Yeah, the under. No, I don't know. CeeDee Lamb can go off. Like, I ended up taking the Steelers -1.5. I'm still not sure about it. There's a lot of games this week that feel like toss-ups to me, but ultimately, I end up going with Mike Tomlin, just finding ways to win football games at home on Sunday Night Football. Justin Fields has been playing good football. I think the Steelers will be able to run against this Cowboys defense. I am a little worried about the Mike Zimmer aspect against Justin Fields, but ultimately, give me the Steelers. And then last game, got the Saints going to the Chiefs. Chiefs are 5.5-point favorites. Total of 42.5. Jay and I both are betting the Chiefs to win by 1-5. However you get there, like it's pretty crazy to do this, but like I parlayed the Chiefs money line with the Saints to cover to get there. It was like plus 425. So if you want to get crazy, want to go sicko mode, maybe give that a try with us. But ultimately, I'm not sure I'm suggesting that bet to anyone. I'm just taking it for shits and giggles. But moving on to the college football slate, I'll run through Jay's real quick here. He's got James Madison -17 against University of Louisiana Monroe, Tennessee -13.5 against Arkansas, Michigan money line at plus 125 against Washington, Clemson -14.5 against Florida State, and SMU +7 against Louisville. And then myself for college ball, I have got the Mizzou money line going down to College Station. I've got Ohio State -19.5 taking on Iowa at home. I've got Miami going to Cal and covering -10.5. I've got UNLV at home against Syracuse covering -6.5. Tennessee -13.5 on the road against Arkansas. Tulane -14.5 on the road against UAB. And Jay also is taking UNLV -6.5 against Syracuse. We made it under 15 minutes. And thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. And have a great night.
That's how we've won all year, team, right? Hey, you held them to 20 points, man. Yes, sir. You gave us a chance at the end. I got 3 words for you. You like that? Yeah!